Kevin, thank you. Let's bring in former Deputy Assistant Attorney General Tom Dupree and former federal prosecutor Joe Moreno. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I want to play this soundbite. This is Jack Smith, special counsel today, and we'll get your reaction on the other side.
Since the attack on our Capitol, the Department of Justice has remained committed to ensuring accountability for those criminally responsible for what happened that day.
Problem is, Tom Dupree, that he's being charged with nothing to do with the Capitol riot, right? They're talking about the riot. They're talking about fomenting. There's nothing in the indictment about that. What do you think about this?
Yeah, Trace, that was one of the more surprising aspects of the indictment today. As you point out, by the time you even see the first mention of the Capitol riot, you're well into the indictment on something like page 40 out of 45. It's interesting that the special counsel is really putting his focus almost exclusively on what happened in the days leading up to January 6th. And I think at the end of the day, so much of this is going to turn on whether the special counsel can actually prove beyond a reasonable doubt to the jury that Donald Trump knew he lost the election and that this whole thing was a fraudulent scheme. Because if I'm in the Trump camp, I think your number one defense here is to say that, look, I was being told by my lawyers, by my advisors, by people in the field that there was fraud out there. I genuinely believed it. Even if I'm wrong, that doesn't make for a criminal violation. Yeah, the Democrats think, Joe, this is disinformation, right? And so what they're saying is the indictment appears to be criminalizing political speech, protected speech. What do you think?
Yeah, Trace, look, I'm no apologist for Donald Trump, and I am quick to say there are cases like the Mar-a-Lago case where he has real criminal exposure. But in this indictment screams to me as a set of facts that they really wanted to find a way to prosecute. So they had to stretch the laws to the breaking point. Yeah. Obviously, they did not charge him with the violence because they probably knew that was too far. So they're using this combination of fraud, obstruction, and civil rights laws, none of which I believe would hold up on appeal to the Supreme Court. It seems like they're pushing the laws to the breaking point. And this one, I'm just calling out like it's keeping the issue in the headlines. I don't think it survives in the long term.
Yeah, Jonathan Turley made this point on Special Report. I think it's a fair one. Watch.
Now, by the way, the other thing that is not in here is conspiracy for incitement. Not in here is a seditious conspiracy. Those were the claims that Democrats used in the impeachment and said that the evidence was absolutely clear.
Sometimes things that are omitted, Tom, are very telling in an indictment.
Well, that is for sure. I mean, to your point, so much of what was not in this indictment really speaks volumes. The other thing that surprised me today, Trace, is that the special prosecutor seems very intent on pushing ahead with this case very expeditiously, much faster, apparently, than the Mar-a-Lago case. It seems like he wants to have a trial and possibly even get a conviction and a jury verdict before the election. To me, that is excessively ambitious. I don't see how they could think they could prepare for this trial, allow President Trump to formulate his defense, get it all before a jury, all within the span of, the next year or so. It seems very unlikely to me. We'll see how the judge treats it, but it seems like a stretch.
I wanted to show this soundbite because this is the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, and he really didn't say much and really didn't take a lot of control. And I'll get your final response on this, Joe.
Mr. Smith and his team of experienced, principled career agents and prosecutors have followed the facts and the law wherever they lead. Any questions about this matter will have to be answered by the filings made in the courtroom.
Bottom line, like every other case, we are not going to answer questions about this. My question on the whole thing is why not provide the exculpatory information? President Trump saying, hey, it's peaceful and patriotic. That stuff wasn't included. What do you think?
Trace, I understand that their talking points from the White House is say this is independent and we have no comment. Honestly, I'd feel better if they had some comment because they can, no matter how many times they say the special counsel is independent, the fact is he reports to the Attorney General reports to the President. And any prosecutorial power derives from the President's power as head of the executive branch. So I would feel better if the President and the Attorney General actually took ownership, said, you know what, we're bringing charges because we believe in those charges. But this artificial holding at arm's length, that just makes me feel like they're not willing to defend the charges on their merits, and they want someone else to do it as long as it's not them.
A lot of legal minds on both sides had that very same thought. Joe Moreno and Tom Dupree, gentlemen, thank you both.